You suck at SUPERVIVE, or else you wouldn't be clicking on this video. But don't worry, you aren't alone, because to be honest, most of us do. This is mostly because you probably have no idea what you're supposed to be doing, or what's supposed to be going on in a game of SUPERVIVE. It's so new, and we are all just figuring it out. So using my knowledge as a top-ranked player, let's discuss how you can go about sucking a little bit less in-game. First, understand that while SUPERVIVE is similar to games like Apex and Fortnite, mechanics like aim and movement alone will not carry you as hard in this game. Building the gap between you and your opponents in SUPERVIVE comes down to how you think about the game and make decisions that give a significant advantage to you in teamfights, not just clicking enemies better. With this understood, there is a basic list of objectives that you have to complete in order to build your power level based on the day you are in the day cycle, displayed by this timeline that will be available for you to download in the description as well. So let's start with how you should go about playing on day one. On the first day, you have a lot that you need to get done in order to set you up for a winning endgame. But before anything else, no matter where you drop, your first goal should be to get level 4 as fast as possible while also getting your item loadouts. This can be done quickly by splitting your party in half by sending 2 people to different camps. This allows for you to optimize XP gains. There are a whole lot of reasons for why you should split 2 and 2, but this video isn't really to discuss that as it gets really convoluted. So moving on, let's talk about the next objectives, which could be getting solid armors or powers, possibly getting level 5, or getting gold from creeps. But now that we know these are our next objectives, now we can start talking about how you should be dropping into the map. You see, not all powers and armors are created equal. Starting with powers, for the most part, it's random as they are spread across vaults around the map. However, one vault holds a guaranteed kaiju power that is extremely powerful and can change the way you play the game. Examples include a radar power that shows the location and color of teams around the map, a projectile that can stun enemies on impact, and a blast that pushes players away from you and destroys projectiles. In other words, it is reasonable to play for opening these vaults at the start of the game. Another option is to drop for the hot zone on the map to get orange armors for your whole team, or to drop for the blue vault to get 2 blue armors. Dropping for armors is a great way to start your game because it usually kills 2 birds with 1 stone. There will almost always be teams in the hot zones or blue armor vaults, allowing you to possibly kill them and get level 5 early, unlocking your ultimate before everyone else if you feel confident in your early fighting abilities. Something to note though is that it isn't very risky to take fights early in the game compared to the end of the game, since it is so easy to res because of how big the map is initially. Realize that it closes as the game goes on, which also equates to less opportunities to resurrect your team. So don't be afraid to fight early to establish an advantage over the rest of the lobby that you can pursue for the rest of the game. If you do manage to get level 5 on day 1, you get to do whatever you want essentially until day 2. You're like that meme where you're a level 100 mafia boss while everyone else is a level 4 crook, even if they have better powers or armors. Level 5 is simply just that strong right now. But if you don't get level 5 off of the drop on the first day, that's really not the end of the world whatsoever. The loop of day 1, unless you drop the hot zone or do some other funky thing, is usually to drop, kill camps for items and get level 4, open the location's vault, then go to the next location, kill mobs for items and gold, open the vault, rinse and repeat. Then once you have enough gold from mobs, you can look to find a store and purchase armors that you don't have yet. The difference is that if you drop the hot zone, you can just cut out needing to buy armors at the end if you win that location. So let's review with the timeline. By the end of day 1, you should be at least level 4, have decent powers for each character, and green or blue armors. It isn't the end of the world if you don't have that, since you can just get that at day 2, but this is what I would consider a winning pace. Day 2 is much simpler than day 1. It consists of just catching up wherever you may be behind from day 1 objectives, getting to the new level cap, level 6, and possibly contesting soul bosses if you are powerful enough, and also packing up a campfire for the end of the game. Soul bosses spawn at random locations within the circle and drop 2 green armors as well as powerful permanent buffs to your team for the entirety of the game. If you have a choice, always take these over others, but sometimes it can just be better to go for the one that you actually can go for based on your power level or how far away the soul is from you due to how far you're going to have to traverse the map. The The thing I really like about soul bosses is that they give you the opportunity to come back into the game even if you are a little bit behind. The first phase is what gives you those green armors like we discussed before. The second phase crystals can give you XP for levels, and the soul power-ups are obviously a good thing no matter what. The only problem is that they are almost always contested, so be on the lookout for any enemy teams. The last thing you will want to do in higher level lobbies is pack up a campfire for the end game, as they allow you to repair armor after taking damage, revive, on top of also giving a huge radius of vision to fight in. Here's the thing though. In ranked lobbies, this isn't really a must-have objective in my opinion. It is more of just a nice thing to have. This is because the final circles in these fast-paced games are usually really big and you don't really get as much out of it compared to a tournament game like show matches, for example. Day 2 is a lot simpler. By the end of it, you should have at least level 6, have your powers and armors on lock, and definitely have your preferred item loadout. If you don't have the day 1 objectives done by now, you are definitely in a pretty bad spot because teams are definitely pretty kitted by the end of the second day. If you are behind, it will come down to trying to third-party fights and scavenge powers and armors off of other players. Now that we've gotten to day 3 in the end game, it gets pretty simple if you have kept up with the speed of the previous objectives. Realistically, it's pretty simple at this point. Keep killing mobs to stay at the level cap, find the boss that either holds a gnarled heart, orb of life, or Bubba's brain at day 4, and then close out the game. The most important thing to talk about when you start getting to day 3 though, is that if there are 3 squads left, you want to make sure that you don't take a fight unless you know that you can force a safe team fight between just one isolated team. The last thing you want to do is get third-partied when you are about to win the game. It feels horrible. You can do this by hitting a radar somewhere around the map, or listen for death or looking for campfires around the map, since that is probably where a team is looming around. Day 3 and closing the game really just comes down to practice, but you'll get there with time. If you did days 1 and 2 correctly, or at least have blue armors, good powers, and possibly a soul and boss drop, there should be no world where you lose the last fight unless you get third-partied, which is really easy to prevent. Sometimes the other team will be similar in power if they took the opposite side of the map, but no matter what, you will always have a better chance compared to if you didn't push objectives before. So there you have it. By completing these objectives, you have a much easier time winning more games in SUPERVIVE by simply thinking your way through your pathing, setting up even easier fights to win. Remember that if you do want the graphic I used on screen to keep up on another monitor so that you remember what you should be doing when, I will have a link in the description sending you to a Google Drive where you can download the image. I hope this will be helpful to you all since it took me quite a bit to learn all of this when I first started playing, but it definitely is something that even I will be using when I'm playing in the tournaments this weekend. If you have enjoyed today's video and want more SUPERVIVE content, consider subscribing for more until full release and beyond. But besides that, thank you guys all so much for watching. But until next time, I've got to peace out and pass out. I'll see you in the next one.